Welcome. Today, we're going to be building a kind of bridge, a bridge of understanding that connects one of the absolute strangest stories in all of Scripture to its ultimate, mind-blowing fulfillment. It's a question that just cuts against every instinct we have, right? But it's the exact question at the heart of a bizarre, almost counterintuitive command from God that seems to defy all logic. And it really sets the stage for the mystery we're about to unravel together.
Okay, so let's dive into this. We're going to go all the way back to the book of Numbers to really get a handle on the crisis that started this whole thing.
So picture this. Numbers chapter 21. The people of Israel are they're done. They're weary, they're impatient, wandering in the desert. And they do what they've done so many times before. They complain. They start speaking out against God and against their leader, Moses. Well, the consequence was swift, and it was deadly. Scripture tells us these venomous serpents just infested the camp, and their bites were fatal. I mean, the very ground beneath their feet had turned against them. Now, what's so fascinating here is the remedy God provided. It wasn't about, just getting rid of the snakes. It was something else entirely. So let's break down the two key components of this really strange symbol that he commanded Moses to make. First off, the choice of material was no accident at all. The people would have immediately known what bronze meant. It was this constant, metallic reminder of God's holy judgment against sin. And this is where that core paradox just brilliantly comes to life. God tells Moses to create the very form of the curse, a serpent. But he has it made in bronze, the material of judgment. So what you have is this stunning picture, the form of sin, but completely under God's judgment. And this bronze serpent wasn't hidden away in some tent. No way. It was lifted high on a pole, a nes, which is like a public banner or a standard. It had to be visible, a rallying point that could be seen from every single corner of the camp.
So the crucial point is, how did you get this cure? And this is where it gets both incredibly simple and, for human pride, profoundly difficult.
I mean, just think about everything that God did not ask them to do. There were no complex rituals, no animal sacrifices, no good works you had to perform to earn your healing. He completely bypassed all the usual religious systems. The only condition for healing was to look at the bronze serpent. That's it, an act of pure, simple faith in God's promise. You had to turn your eyes from yourself, from your wound, from all your failed efforts, and just look. And this remedy, it was for everyone. It didn't matter if you were rich or poor, young or old, a spiritual giant, or just a regular person. Whosoever looked was healed. The cure was enough for everyone, but it only worked for those who actually chose to look. Okay, so now let's build that bridge. Let's fast forward to the New Testament and see how this ancient story becomes the very framework for understanding the work of Christ. Because Jesus himself takes this story and connects it directly to his own mission. He leaves absolutely no room for doubt, does he? Jesus explicitly says that what happened to that bronze serpent way back in the desert was a direct foreshadowing of what must happen to him.
So that pole, that standard, lifted high for everyone to see, it finds its ultimate and final meaning in the cross at Golgotha, raised up between heaven and earth.
And the rest of Scripture confirms this connection. To be lifted up on a pole or a tree, that was understood to be a sign of bearing a curse. So just like the bronze serpent took the form of the curse without actually being the curse itself, Christ, who was totally sinless, was made sin for us on the cross. He became the focus of God's judgment, the one we are all supposed to look to for life. But hold on, there's a final, crucial warning attached to this story. And it's a warning that shows how even a symbol given by God can be twisted into something dangerous. See, for centuries, that bronze serpent was preserved, probably as a historical artifact. But by the time of King Hezekiah, something had gone terribly wrong. The people were no longer looking through the serpent to God, they were worshiping the object itself, burning incense to it, even giving it a name, Nehushtan. That symbol that was meant to be a bridge to faith, it had become the destination. It had become an idol. And so the righteous King Hezekiah had to do the unthinkable. He smashed it to pieces. The remedy had to be destroyed because it was now blocking the very faith it was meant to inspire. And that leaves us with a powerful and searching question for ourselves. Are the symbols and rituals in our own lives, even the good ones, Are they acting as bridges that point us to Christ? Or have they, maybe without us even realizing it, become the destination themselves?